Welcome to the K20 Center's Zoom Into Your Career video series. These online career expos give students a way to explore many interesting careers and learn about their career options from volunteer professionals. Anissa Angier-Dunn has spent her entire career with Edmond Public Schools. She had taught elementary before moving into her current role as STEM instructional facilitator.
Hi, I'm Anissa Angier-Dunn. I'm the STEM coordinator for Edmond Public Schools, and I'll pull up my slides here in a second. Like Will said, if you have any questions, be keeping them. I am new to this. I've never done like a share screen, so bear with me here in a second. Just a little bit about me, just so you kind of know. I am Oklahoman through and through. I was born and raised here. I grew up in Edmonds, but I went to Deer Creek, and more on that later. My mom is an immigrant from Iran, so I'm a halfie there. I went to OU, also more on that later, so I'm just a through and through Oklahoman. So now what I do is I'm a curriculum coordinator. So I have 27 schools that I primarily focus on. So I have like 17 elementaries, middle schools, high schools, but we also have some other schools that I help support that are in the Edmond area. As a STEM coordinator, I focus on computer science. So if you like coding and things like that, that's me. Integrated STEM, robotics, technology, that's like my wheelhouse, and it's like I get to play all day kind of. I align standards, so your teachers know maybe more about this, but we have standards in Oklahoma. So every year, if you're not aware, teachers have standards that they're trying to get you to meet every year. So 6th grade, you cover this, 7th grade, you cover this. And so I just make sure that we have covered everything in the realm of STEM. I do purchasing, so I get to play with robots and decide which ones I want to buy. So that's kind of fun. And I provide professional development. So that's a huge part of what I do. So I have to design slides like this and, actually give the information to teachers and train them on how to then use the information with their students. And a lot of time I'm learning with the teachers too. So you've got to be able to, my teachers are kind of also like, we work together. So it's not like, I'm not an administrator, I'm not over them, I'm more of a coach and do things like that. And then I said team player and here to serve because I didn't really know how to explain that any better. But because I am, I work in an office with a English coordinator and a math coordinator and all of these other coordinators, and together we also put out products that maybe aren't STEM, but will help teachers in what they do in our district. So yeah. And then, well, I think I'm good for the next slide, and we can skip this one and go to the timeline. Yes. Okay, so a little bit about, like I said, I'd cover this a little bit better. I went to Deer Creek High School. I actually went to Deer Creek K through 12, so I did it all 13 years there. But I did list this. I did a class officer. I was National Honor Society, sports, AP, and I mentioned that not to be like, oh, hello, here's my resume, but because there was a lot of skills I picked up on those things. So because I was a class officer, I learned some leadership skills. Because I was National Honor Society, I learned how to meet the requirements that I needed to meet. So there's a lot of things I learned in those. So being in a silo and not being involved, I would have missed out on so many skills that I need and use today as an adult. And I also listed, you're fine, AP Computer and concurrent classes because, and I'll talk about this with the University of Oklahoma, having those credits entering college helped me kind of have time to figure out what I wanted to do in college. So as you see here, I graduated with an education degree, but it says I minored in business because that's where I started. I worked at Morgan Stanley for a little while. I was a business pre-law major. And because of that internship, I realized I really wasn't into it long term. I liked it, but I wasn't into it long term. So I did this OU, and actually every college really provides career counseling. So I actually went in and did like a little assessment and, talked to her, and she was like, sounds like you're an education person. And so that's what I ended up doing. But because I had those AP and concurrent classes in high school, I didn't need a 5th year of college, if that makes sense. So I was able to kind of get some of those gen eds out of the way and do some more actual business classes and decide if I liked it or not. So yeah. And so then I was an elementary teacher. I loved this job. I love my job now too, but there's really nothing quite like third graders who think they're adults. And so it's really fun to work with them and get to know their families. I also listed here that I was involved at the site level, like I was on the school technology committee, I was on the district STEM committee, and that is some skill sets and also kind of set me up for this job. So yeah. So then I transitioned to, I was still a teacher, but then on the side, I worked as a science coach. So I would help elementary teachers in my district understand science and understand how to teach that to their students because they needed help there. So I had like 1 foot or maybe really like a toe doing that, but then I was still a teacher full-time most of it. So. And then here we are, district STEM coordinator. And so this all like built up to here. And I truly believe that everything I experienced in that timeline has helped me with the job today. Like I can tell you something I did today that relates to something I learned in this timeline. So all I'm saying is your timeline starts now. And everything you're picking up, you are going to use later in life. So pay attention. And I said never done because I'm still learning. So I'm never going to feel like an expert on anything because then, I don't know, I have nothing left to learn. So I'm never done learning. Let's see. Oh, okay. So this slide, just to kind of give you a day in the life, I didn't know how to do that. I tried really hard to like find like 3 clear bullet points, but it wasn't happening. So what I did is just typed up what I did Monday, what I did Tuesday, and what I'm planning on doing today. This is all while I'm answering emails, answering phone calls. I had 2 phone calls this morning. And so I didn't include all of that, but these are like my appointments, my committee, my meetings. So this is just to give you like an overall. So I'll give you a second to kind of look at that in case you have questions about it later. But it's a little bit, looks a little all over the place. So, okay, I think, yeah, I'll move on. So, oh yeah, so this, I was going to clean my office before I showed it to you, but it just didn't happen. So please don't judge me. But this is actually a picture I took at like 4:30 yesterday and put in here. So, it's not very, but you can kind of see like headphones in the corner and there's a drone sitting on my desk in that corner. And I've got my whiteboard that's clean to like get me some new stuff. There's some picture books in the background that we're going to use to teach STEM to elementary. So it's just, I'm here maybe, I don't know, you saw the last slide. I'm not here very often, but when I am, this is my little home, my little cave. So it's really hard for me to find a picture of me working because usually I'm the one taking the picture. I could only find 2 that I have. And this one I only have because our district PR person took this of me. So she sent it to me, thankfully. But this is me talking to some teachers about general STEM and where we want to go as a district in STEM education. And next slide. Yes, and then that's the second one. So here I am modeling a science lesson to the teacher. She wasn't sure how to teach it exactly. So it's a very action picture. It's not very pretty, but this is me modeling that lesson. And then on the right, you see kids coding robots. And then, oh no, you're good, keep going. Thanks, Mel. There's a video on the next slide. Yes, so this is, it's just, if it plays, great. If it doesn't, no worries, but there's no sound. It's, these kids are designing, like this kid was able to do, I said there's no sound, sorry, there's no talking. The kids were designing a theme park. So they took some robotics and tied it into their math class and created an amusement park. So this is a high school math class right here. Yeah. And then on the left is, I was at a conference and I met, if anyone watched Shark Tank, I love Shark Tank. And this one was on it. She did Smart Buddies, which is a coding robot for girls, focused. And so I kind of nerded out about that. And on the right is a STEM family night that we had. Some fourth graders made this with their parents. It's like a math problem thing. So they used a circuit. So when the math problem matches up to the answer, it lights up. And so the kids were really proud about that. So I threw on salary. So just keep in mind the state actually sets the teacher salary. So, but some just, but there's variation. So there's a minimum from the state and then it goes from there. This is the average of what I could find for a curriculum coordinator. So it's just, I'm still a teacher contract. I just have an extra contract, extra stipend for what I do as a curriculum coordinator. In my district, I also work year round. But some of my counterparts in like Oklahoma City, Putnam City, Tulsa, they work just the school year. So it's just, it varies by district, of course, just like it would vary by companies, if you, in any other job. So I think that's it. Will, can we just dive into questions or?
Yeah. So if any of our schools have any questions that they want to ask, you're more than welcome to come up on camera and tap your iPod or phone or whatever and hit the unmute button, and then you can ask your question. Say who you are and what school you're from first. See, we got somebody coming up. Here, actually, I can unmute you, and so you are unmuted and you can talk.
Oh, why did you choose this?
Why did I choose this? Well, it's the best job because I'm able to still work with students, not as directly as I used to when I was a teacher, but I cannot tell you how much fun being a teacher really was. It's stressful. Do not get me wrong. It can be stressful. But your students and your teachers in the room can attest to this. Like, your students really make your job wonderful. And then I can now in this role impact even more students, just not as directly. It's more indirect. And then I will go back to this and say that career counselor that I mentioned at OU really helped me because I could have been a business pre-law. I didn't hate it. I just didn't see myself doing it forever. And that career counselor really helped me. There's no shame in going and talking to the career counselor, and here I am now, very, very happy. So if you're ever struggling with that decision, I can't recommend it enough. There was an assessment, and then talking to her, and she's like, your personality, and you like kids, and it all clicked. And those career counselors are supposed to help you find that. So
awesome. Any other questions from our students? I think we got one coming in. I'll unmute you. Oh, sorry. All right, go ahead.
You did it.
Does she actually use like everything she learned in school, like every little detail, you know what I mean?
Every subject that she's ever taught.
are you thinking that I was like paid off by your teachers right now or something? I was not. No, I am going to be really honest and say that I rely a lot on my science and math. I mean, that's what I do now. But I mean, I'm when I say that I learned everything that I use everything I learned, I'm talking a lot about the skill set mainly. So, being on time and turning in my stuff when my teacher asks me to, or being in a club that requires me to get 10 community service hours. If my boss gives me a deadline now and I don't make it, I don't have a job, like if I keep doing that. So those skills, and that's mainly what I focus on. But I see your question. And as far as your like core content, I work in education. So we do talk about that stuff. And so I do access that information a lot, but I don't know did I answer your question?
All right, we've got a question coming in from, they want to know how long you've been doing this.
Okay, so yes, I'm pretty young. I didn't mention my age on purpose, but I've been doing this particular job 2.5 years now. Like I started July 2017. So doing this particular job. So the year before that, I was the 1 year of science coaching, and then I was a teacher before that. So district
Awesome.
level, 3.5 years.
Awesome. Any of our other schools have any questions?
It can be about my job, STEM in general. I can try to help with that.
Oh, we might have a question.
Unmute it. Unmute it. How?
You're unmuted. You're good.
Oh, I like your sweatshirt.
How do you personally deal with, like in the class, children misbehaving?
So, great question. I don't typically have to, are you meaning now or are you meaning when I was a teacher?
When you were a teacher.
So when I was a teacher, I would say that it comes down to the student and the situation. So, I mean, you wouldn't want me to treat you like just everybody else because you're not like everybody else. So it would depend on you and depend on the situation.
I got one question.
Okay.
Awesome. I do have a question though. What you work in STEM, which is a very interesting field because there are a lot of things you can do within STEM. When I was in high school, I did robotics, I did coding and stuff like that. So that was really fun because I got to go to competitions. So what's the coolest like project you've gotten to work on?
Oh my gosh. That is a hard one. That's a really hard one. I would say the two, I don't know if there's going to be two I'll mention. So the first one that I nerded out about was actually teaching coding through math. So we now are teaching coding in math class, and that's nice for our local university. But I would say the second one would be, it's tough to pick. The high school students designed a fountain, and they have submitted that for a park. I can't remember which state, but they used math and science to develop this like fountain, kind of like a park. And if it gets selected, then the park is going to be built to their design, which would be kind of cool. So I helped with that. It's hard to pick. There's a lot of times that I love when we had high school students come over and do STEM projects with elementary. That's really cool to see. But as far as an actual project, I would say the park, like the outdoor park that they designed using STEM. So
Awesome. Looks like we got somebody. You're good to go, sir.
I was wondering if like if there were any programs or something in Oklahoma sponsored that I could attend.
yeah. You know what though? I would feel like I need to send you an email with all of it because there's like a lot. So when you say what you want to attend, are you talking about in STEM or are you talking about in education?
Education.
Okay, so in education, I would have to send stuff like that. But there are mentoring programs. That would be the first thing I would recommend that everyone does. No matter if you want to be a lawyer, go get a mentor. If you want to be, I don't know what you want to be, just find a mentor. So there are programs where teachers will let you follow them around and see what they do every day. And it kind of opens your eyes to what they do every day because I'm just going to tell you right now, you better appreciate them. But I would send that information. I don't mind going through Will and sending something.
Yeah, I can get teachers' contacts information and have them send it to you. Just sent their email, so I can collect all those and then give it to you if you got any programs or anything like that that students would be interested in.
Okay.
Any other questions from anyone? All right, I've got you. You're good to go.
Okay, so one of the students was embarrassed to get up on the camera.
I'm not scary. Okay.
So what she wants to know is what are the things that you need to study while you are going to college to be able to prepare for this profession?
Okay, good question. So it depends. Elementary and secondary are very different. So if you're interested in teaching early childhood, so like pre-K through third grade, or elementary, which is first grade through fifth grade, so they overlap a little bit, it looks way different than doing secondary. So if you teach middle school or high school, you probably went to school for math education, science education, like you pick one. So it kind of depends. So the overview for all of them is that you will take psychology, you'll take some type of how to teach students and understanding their brains, and understanding like if they are 5 years old, this is where their brain's at. If they're 6 years old, their brain looks different. So you have to understand that. And then you also have to understand content. So if you're elementary, you're going to get a little taster of everything. I took a social studies, I took a science, multiple actually. I took a math, but it's more of a how to teach it, not necessarily a class. If you teach in secondary, you just take a lot of classes of math. So if you want to teach math, you really need to know it. So you take a lot of classes on that. But education specifically, it's a lot of psychology courses and things like that.
Awesome. You got one more? We got a couple. We have maybe time for one or two more questions before we got to let everyone go back to class. So if you have one more, yeah, I can get you real quick, and I can get it's after.
Real quick, our bell was ringing when the PowerPoint was up, so we missed some of it. What is the degree level of education that she has?
Oh, me? Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That would make, sorry. I have my undergrad in education, like I said. I also have my master's in educational leadership that I got from UCO. And I did that, I finished that when I started this job, so it overlapped a little bit. And then I'm currently working on my doctorate at OSU just because I can't stop going to school.
All right. You are, well, I'm trying to unmute you.
Do you like teaching the stuff that you teach other students at different schools?
Yeah, I mean, I get to specialize. So when I was elementary, I taught everything. I taught English, I taught social studies, right? And now I just get to, listen, English and social studies are great, but now I just get to do STEM. So that's kind of nice. So.
Awesome. All right, well, we do have one more question in the chat, and then we'll wrap it up. They just want to know how much you personally make. You can tweak it a little bit if you don't want to give exact salaries, but obviously, you know, everyone wants to make sure that they're well off. So
Yeah, no. So the salary that I mentioned, the average that I mentioned, I think is based on a 9-month, because I make a little bit more than that since I do work in June and July. So it's kind of like getting a summer job, but like, if that makes sense. So I would make right on par with that average, but I also get paid for the summers. So